everyone. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Bulletproof Entrepreneur Podcast. My guest on the show today is Greg Jeffries. So, I don't have a long bio for Greg, but let me just break it down as simply as possible, and then you guys will understand because Greg is an actually unique entrepreneur. He's one of us. He's a regular guy, you know. He had a job where he wasn't getting paid more than $20K a year before taxes. You know, he was working online nights and weekends trying to build an online marketing business for himself, but he kept failing a ton. You know, he spent thousands of dollars, over $10,000, and he still didn't get traction until finally last year or so, you know, he hit his big breakthrough. And from then on, he's been off to the races. He made his first six-figure year, and it's been non-stop crushing it since then. He actually won a dream car competition from Russell Brunson of ClickFunnels. So if you know Russell Brunson, you know that ClickFunnels run a competition for affiliate marketing, and Greg won that competition. So he beat out a lot of internet marketers to get the car. So that's not a small feat in and of itself. So I'm pleased to have Greg on the show today to tell us a little bit more about himself, his business experiences, and of course, his business SEO affiliate domination. So Greg, welcome to the show.
Great to be here.
Great. So Greg, you know, tell us a little bit more about yourself. I told everybody you're a regular guy like us, and you've been in the trenches, and you know you didn't wake up making that, you know, six-figure every month internet money that we've been coached to believe happens once you become an internet entrepreneur.
Yeah, so I mean, my path to success took a little bit longer than most people. My only advantage was I started pretty early, so I kind of started dabbling in internet marketing and like researching how to make money online probably like over 10 years ago. So I'm 31 now. So, you know, like mid 90s, early 2000s and stuff. So that's kind of when I originally got started, but I kind of mark my beginning and getting serious about internet marketing and making like a full-time income in about 2010, which is when I moved out to Austin, Texas, which is where I'm at now. And, you know, that since I moved out here, I've had a series of just freelance and contract jobs. So I haven't made a lot of money at those jobs. I was never really good at translating, I guess, my skill set into what I know I'm worth at an actual like corporate job. So I knew that like the only way that I could actually get where I want to be in life and kind of live the life that I know I deserve is to create that income for myself. Cause I just, I sucked at interviewing, I sucked at writing resumes and, the whole job process. I'm not a lazy worker or anything, but it's just, I don't know. Once I get a job, I immediately try to figure out what's like the laziest way that I can do that job. Like once I learn the skills and what's the least amount of effort I can put into that job. And it just, it happens the same at every job I was at. Like once I learn how to do my daily task or whatever, I would just be thinking all day about like, man, all these other ideas that I can do when I get home. But what's frustrating is by the end of the day, I usually don't have much energy. Yeah. And I didn't have a lot of time. So it was just like, it just got to the point where, I was maxing out credit cards and, diving into as much as information that I can consume on the nights and weekends for the last couple of years. And, I tried a lot of things, spent a lot of money, naturally kind of gravitated to SEO, mainly because it didn't require a lot of startup capital. A lot of, while SEO might be traditionally like a little bit slower approach to make money online, it's pretty stable and it's pretty simple, and you don't need a budget to really do most of it, like other than maybe a few pieces of inexpensive equipment or like a domain and hosting, which are, a few dollars. So I just naturally gravitated towards that. And eventually just, I was making, again, it was a very slow process for me because most of I consumed a lot of information. My learning curve was a couple of years, and everybody's learning curve is going to be a little different, but for me, it just, I it's hard for me to move forward and take like massive action if I don't have kind of a complete picture. Like, the most important thing, that your listeners to take away from all this is, definitely take action. But for me, it's just challenging to take a lot of action if I don't know exactly, like, if what I'm doing, if I'm not confident or certain that it's going to work.
Okay.
And so it took me a couple of years and a lot of searching and asking the right people the right questions to get all the pieces of like the puzzle that I kind of assembled and created my own little proprietary strategy and approach to SEO to really implement. And a big element of that that increased my confidence was getting out to these live events, meeting people face to face, and that were actually doing or had already done what I wanted to do with SEO and internet marketing, and asking them questions like, well, what are your strategies, and how are you actually making like the money that I want to make? And once I learned, like, basically confirmed that what I'd been learning was, it may not be like the best approach, but it's a good enough approach to get results.
Yeah.
Once I got that confidence, then it was just a matter of implementing it. So it took me a couple years to get the confidence to know that I was like, okay, this is actually like a good method or whatever, like how to rank videos and how to rank websites and stuff. So once you get enough results, you're just like, okay, like whether this is like the best way or not, it's clearly working. I just have to do more of it. And so that was kind of, last year was my big breakout year, my first 6-figure year. And that was the only, like, the difference between 2017 and 2016. 2016, I was still getting results. I was maybe up to a couple $1,000s per month, but it wasn't, my income didn't really, increase exponentially till last year, because I kept my head down, and I actually was just scaling up the things that were already working. So that's a long explanation, long answer to your question, but that's kind of my story of my journey. So it was a lot of nights and weekends of just kind of consuming a lot of information, distilling that information down, simplifying it, and then taking action on it to kind of get those initial results and traction, and then just measuring those. And then once I figured out what kind of worked for me, I just did that on a bigger scale.
I hear you. So now what I want to ask you is, while you were still learning and applying, consuming information, I know that it's almost the same thing that a lot of entrepreneurs face, where if you're trying to learn something, you go online, look for an online course, you buy it, you consume it, but you still feel there's something missing. Whereas the author of the course will say, no, just do this and you will get there. Like, it reminds me of the time where, this was many years ago when I was in college, I was supposed to go see a friend of mine who was visiting, and back then I didn't have a GPS, there were no like smartphones at the time. So basically, I printed out the map from Google, and it told me her house is 10 minutes away from my house. So all I had to do was drive 10 minutes to her house. I'm driving down the road. I'm supposed to make a left. I'll never forget it. And something just tells me, no, this is not the right way. And I made a right, and I found myself going 30 minutes on the way to New York City from Baltimore. And I'm like, what the heck? So, it's the same thing with a lot of people. We always struggle with, following instruction and accumulating and learning everything. So last year, what finally clicked for you?
It was just kind of that epiphany of, my strategies and the things that I was getting results with. I'm kind of a recovering perfectionist. I have a design background, and so I was taught like how the fundamentals of art and design and stuff. So I kind of carried that over into marketing and business and stuff, and it's kind of held me back a little bit, because I'm always wanting things to be perfect. And I know a lot of people, a lot of other marketers have that same struggle. And like as a result of going, I started going to my first like live events in 2016. So from meeting a couple of other marketers, I kind of just gathered some more insight, and that gave me the confidence to kind of move forward. And so what my big epiphany for like basically the fall of 2016, early part of 2017 was that my I don't know if my strategies are like perfect or whatever, but basically that they were good enough to just continue. Yeah. Like I did, there comes a point where it's like you've been through enough courses, you've talked to enough people, and again, I was already getting some results. I just didn't have the confidence to scale. I was telling my believing the lie that I was telling myself that I just need to take one more course. I just need read one more book. And while those things are important because you need some sort of direction, you need some sort of context of a direction to go, there comes a point where you've read enough. Yes. You know enough. It's literally the only thing that stand between you and the results you want is action. Like just freaking do the stuff or some of the stuff that you've learned. Like do something, because you're never gonna turn that knowledge into money or results if you don't take action. Yeah. That was the big aha moment of just take more action. And again, SEO is traditionally slower, but if you are disciplined enough to just make a couple of videos a day or make a couple of blog posts a day, with some a target in mind, like a specific keyword or a specific set of keywords that you're going after, you will get results. Like it's in my experience, it's impossible not to get results. Some results if you're consistent. Like maybe if you write one article or publish one video, maybe you won't make any income from that, and you think that this is all a scam and it doesn't work. But like if you make 500 videos or you write 500 blog posts, in my experience and like all of my friends, it's almost impossible not to get some results. You just have too much content out there for someone not to come across that. Okay. So like in my experience, like we were talking before, you come across one of my Udemy courses a couple years ago. And before I really scaled up with SEO, that's what I was doing. I was publishing courses on Udemy. And the advantage of a marketplace like Udemy is the same principle. I have never sent any or invested in any paid traffic with Udemy, but I've always made money. And the only reason I have in the reason I have it in my experience is literally just because I was there. I literally just showed up. So like, I mean, I've had example or results or examples or whatever of where I literally just shot a video on YouTube for maybe a product review, published it within 30 minutes, I made a sale, and it's just like, that doesn't happen every time, but it proves a point of if you just show up, if you literally are just there, then that significantly increases the chances that you're going to get results. So it's like, because you have to remember that most people, even though like I teach this other people how to do this, the reality is that most people on the planet, they just don't take action. So they're not going to write the blog articles. They're not going to make videos because for a number of different reasons, like maybe they don't like their voice, maybe they don't like their face, so they're not comfortable on camera. There's a million different reasons why people don't take action. So a lot of people, one of the lies that people that holds people back when starting out is that the competition, this idea of competition, which is complete BS, because like there's so much abundance, there's so much opportunity, and when you, like I just came back from ClickFunnels Funnel Hacking Live, there were so many millionaires and six-figure earners in the room, and that was only in that conference. That doesn't even, there's so many more millionaires on the planet. So when I'm, in a room like that around that many people, it's like, wow, all of let's just say there's 100 millionaires in the room, or people that have made $1 million in the last 12 months. If every single one of those people have $1 million has passed through their hands or gone through their bank account in the last 12 months, like and those are just 12 people. Like, think of how much more money there is on the planet. Like, it's just infinite. So
Excess.
don't believe this lie that that there's not enough for you or whatever, because I mean, remember, I started out with nothing and now I'm making 6. I'm on track for like 7 figures this year.
Yeah.
So I'm not anybody special, and there's other people out there doing this. So for your listeners, don't let that lie, that thought discourage them that like, oh, Greg's somebody special. Like, no, I came from just middle class family. I didn't have a lot. My parents didn't make a lot of money. So if I can do it, and I did, I never had a great job. I never had a job that paid me over like 22 or 23,000 before taxes. So I was literally, if you look that up online, I was living below the poverty line. So don't try to come at me with like your, sad stories and pity parties of like, what you don't have, because whatever situation you're in, especially if you live in the US, like you have so much opportunity. Yeah. Like I leveraged credit cards, which I don't, encourage for most people, but like that was my one resource that I did have. I didn't have a lot of money in the bank for a job, but luckily I had good credit. So I had the option or the opportunity to apply for credit cards. So that was how I kind of funded my internet marketing, affiliate marketing kind of journey and education. So, and now, I've made enough to pay that back, but, so that was just how I did it. That's not what I endorse for everybody, but you be resourceful as a entrepreneur and working for yourself. The number one skill you need to master is learning how to be an awesome problem solver. And be resourceful, because you may not have the resources that everybody else has, but be resourceful, build relationships, use everything that you have, because, my resources are obviously going to be different from yours. Yeah. It's going to be different from somebody else. So, it doesn't matter where you grew up, in the country or in the world, like you have resources, different ones that I will never have access to probably. And so you just gotta use what you have. Like it took me maybe 10 years or more to get where I'm at, but it doesn't matter because I'm there now. Yeah. Like it's the only thing that matters. So just be disciplined, be consistent, be be persistent. And you'll get there.
Love it. I mean, and it's I've even lost my train of thought. I said it's such a joy to hear you just say the truth from the heart, just like that. Just because a lot of like even today, if you go on YouTube, you always see a lot of people saying, buy my course, do SEO. Overnight, you're going to become a millionaire. But you went through the struggle. You were there in the trenches. Didn't have a lot of money growing up, leveraged credit cards, which were 22 or 30% or whatever. But you still persisted because you believed in yourself. And then finally, after everything, things started working for you. But so before we dive into a bit of your SEO business, talk a little bit about, winning that car. What car did you win, and what was that competition all about?
Yeah, so I'll just say I haven't selected a car yet. I've actually won it or qualified for it like about a year ago, because honestly I don't really need a new car right now because I have one. But I'm probably going to be using it to get a car for my parents, which should happen the next month or so. So that's what I'm going to use it for. It's whatever they want. But the path to qualifying for that just went like this. So a couple years ago, I started promoting ClickFunnels as soon as they came out. Became an affiliate. So it took me a while. Yeah. And I haven't really given it 100%, to be honest, because I've been promoting other things. So if I would have focused on it, I'd be making a lot more money right now. Yeah. And that's one of my big goals for this year, is to just really concentrate more on it, because it is a very lucrative affiliate program. But the way I kind of it got my attention and the reason I scaled it up is because it was working. So about two years ago, I finally started recording like my income sources, which was a big I highly, highly recommend people to do that, because before I wasn't keeping track of how much I was making. I had no idea. I was just getting, a couple commission checks here and there, and, it didn't seem like much, but I was actually making more than I thought. I just wasn't recording it. So, I mean, if you look at, if you go to iamsource.org and look at my income reports, you can see that my individual income sources aren't very big, but they add up to like over 5 figures a month, which is pretty awesome. So I didn't even know that until I started tracking it, and it didn't start out there, but started out with just a couple thousand, and it kind of went up from there. But since I had been tracking my income for a couple months, I was looking at all the sources, and then ClickFunnels, was just one of the products I was promoting. I was like, wow, like I'm making a couple $100 consistently every month. Let me just see what will happen if I focus a little bit more effort and attention on making some videos and content about this product. And let me just see if I can 10x it. Cause if I'm making 300, like it shouldn't be that difficult to add like one more zero onto it, just a little bit more effort. And so that's what I did. I made a bunch of videos, a couple hundred videos over the next couple weeks. And that was kind of what laid the foundation to attract a lot of people to become affiliates underneath me. And, it probably took me about a year and a half to qualify, because again, I was doing other things. I had a job, I was busy and stuff. So, but I believe anybody that's really serious, if they want to win that or qualify for that car, they can do it within 12 months or less, even with something as slow as SEO. So, that was kind of the journey to that. So just paying attention to what's already working, and then just focusing on that, kind of like a sniper rifle approach of just, hey, this is working. Let me just pour a lot of effort into this and scale up this one thing. And that's what's really kind of exploded that income source.
Yeah, and I'm looking at your website now, I Am Source, and there are almost 30 income streams here. I see something that has $17. I see ClickFunnels at almost $10,000, and everything in between. And you know what? It's just, you focus on your industry, you sign up for different affiliate platforms, and you push them. Now, could it be that if you, let's say, you do the 80-20 rule and say 80% of your income comes from 20% of your affiliate channels, and you just focus on those ones? I mean, you could 10x or 20x that one easily. Yep. Yeah. Cool.
And I'm slowly kind of circling back around and trying to build up each one of those other ones, because I mean, if it's easy for me to make $100 a month consistently for something with like barely any effort, my thought process is like, man, how hard is it really to add 10? I'm not talking about like 10,000 or 100,000 a month. I'm just talking about 10, which is just 10x, which may sound like a lot, but I mean, if you're already making 100, like you just do that 10 more times and you're at 1,000, which is, I think, a little bit more significant, like to have 4 figures extra each month. Like that can change a lot of people's lives in most of the world. So, and if you can do that for multiple income sources, like that's pretty significant. That for most people, that can cancel out their need for a 9-to-5.
Exactly. Now, looking at your background, I see that there is a huge opportunity in SEO. So just tell us a little bit about, if somebody were to, for example, be listening to this podcast and they say, hey, Greg, that sounds great, but I don't know where to start. I don't know what to do. How do I at least start getting my first $100 within the next 30 days by doing what you do?
Well, they can, I have a course called SEO Affiliate Domination. So, they can check that out if they're interested in what I'm doing specifically. So they just go to SEOaffiliatedomination.com. But I'll give you some tips that, if people don't have the budget to invest in that, they can just take action on this. These are, free or very inexpensive steps that they can just, put in a little, effort and do this and get those results. So there's a free tool called keywordtool.io. And that tool is going to give you some long tail keyword suggestions. And what I do with that tool is I start with a root keyword. So like if we take ClickFunnels, that would be like the root keyword, just, the main, the brand name. So ClickFunnels, it's been around for a couple of years, so that helps too. So that means that a lot of people have ClickFunnels is a big community, and so there's a lot of people searching for ClickFunnels related terms. So if we go to keywordstool.io, type it in, it's going to give us a list of long tail keywords. And the reason I target long tail keywords with my approach to SEO is because they have far less competition. There's a lot less people competing and creating unique information for those long tail keywords, because most people, most other SEOs, first off, there's not very many people doing SEO in the world, period. And then the ones that are, they're not taking the effort to go after these long tail keywords, because it's hard to justify it, I guess, the effort. But for somebody that's just trying to make their first $100 or first $1,000, if you're broke, you don't have that much money, and you have a little bit of time, create little unique pieces of content on either a blog or a YouTube video for each one of these long tail keywords, and provide some value, provide a solution, or address the question for that query.
Yeah.
And then you're naturally going to start getting traffic. And again, ClickFunnels is just one product. This works for any product, service, keyword, and that's why I believe SEO is just incredibly scalable. I just call it infinitely scalable, because there's a virtually unlimited amount of long tail keywords. Yeah. And for the people that are actually interested in doing this, there's unlimited amounts of just keywords to target. Because again, you might say, well, it's not technically unlimited. It is, because again, there's not that many people on the planet that are actually doing this. Just there's not, even though there's a lot of auto mechanics in the world, not everybody's an auto mechanic. So there's still plenty of room. If you want to open up a auto, repair store, you can do it. And I don't care if it's a big city, you may have competition, but who cares? You can still make enough money to support yourself from that skill. Yeah. So there's just so much. And the cool thing about it is there's a very low barrier to entry. There's very, very little money that you need to invest up front. And, there's so many different products that have affiliate programs. So pretty much anything, you go into a bookstore, you go into a supermarket, look around, everything on those shelves probably has some sort of affiliate program that you can promote. If you can't find if it doesn't have its own private affiliate program, sign up to be an Amazon affiliate. Everything's for sale on Amazon. So that's, an option, or eBay or whatever. They all have affiliate programs. So And so the goal of my course and the strategy that I teach, while you can make 6 and 7 and 8 figures and stuff, if you really scale this information up, what I'm trying to get people to with this information is to take them from zero to $100 to $200 a day. Yes. with passive income. Because what I've found in my own life, and from talking to a lot of other people that get into internet marketing, is that's kind of the goal that they're looking, that's the income amount that they need to make to replace their 9 to 5 is about $3,000 to $6,000 a month. Most people could live a pretty comfortable life for that. Yeah. I don't care if you're single or if you have a family. Most people probably make less than that per month at their job. So if I can teach you how to build this passive income snowball for yourself and I like to give people are always asking what is the timeline? How much time do I need to invest in this? And obviously there's going to be a little bit of a learning curve, because this is probably new information for you. But once you get past that and you take action, you start doing this over and over. I like to give people the timeline of about a year or less, so 12 months or less. And I know that may sound really a really long time, because you don't want to be broke for very long. Yeah. You don't want to stay where you're at for very long. But to put it in context, a year is significantly less time than college. College average, community college is 2 years. Average college is 4 to 5 years. But you're not going into $100,000 in debt. These strategies are crazy inexpensive. Like you can start like I did with YouTube videos, get to, let's just say a couple $100 a month, use that income to maybe start a website, a little blog, use the same strategies for the blog, and then get to a couple thousand. And then once you're a couple thousand, now you're free. Now you're free from your job. Now you got all of your time. And now you can, do this full time for a couple months, and then scaled up to like, 5 figures. Once you're making $10,000 or more a month, like life gets a whole lot easier, assuming that your expenses are lower than that. If you're going to buy try to, lease a Lamborghini or whatever, get $1 million mansion, that's your
models and bottles.
Yeah, like that's your own problem. Like I can't control that, but like if you keep your living expenses lower, a little bit lower than 5 figures a month, which is not that hard to do, then you're going to be fine. And like what people are going to, if they really write out their goals, most people, and like work backwards, they'll soon discover that like their dream lifestyle, it definitely doesn't take $1 million to achieve. Like, I mean, honestly, for most people, I think they'd be comfortable and happy with 5,000 to 6,000 a month, like passively coming in. Mm-hmm. And then once you hit 10, 20, past 20K, like you can basically, all these, fancy cars and exotic destinations, you can pretty much live that life that you want for like 10, 20K, maybe a little bit more, but like you do not need $1 million a year to achieve that. And I'm not talking about, you may not be able to buy a Lambo with cash or buy that $1 million mansions, but basically you'll have the means to experience it. So if you want to drive one, if you want to go fly in a private jet, if you want to go on that exotic vacation or destination and stay in some really ritzy hotel, you can do that for far less than like 6 figures or far less than $1 million, like that just to experience all those things, which is what most people want, like to go to charter a yacht, to do all those things, to maybe have the Louis Vuitton handbag, the fancy shoes. You don't need that much money to do that, I promise.
You don't need a lot to live the rich life.
Yeah, and then like once you get those things, it's like, okay, like, and you make 6 figures the next year, you're just like, eventually you're going to run out of things probably to spend the money on. Like once you get all the stuff that you want, then you're just going to have this surplus of cash that comes in every month. And again, you can just, the main thing that I'm trying to, help people achieve, and what most people really want, they don't want the Lambos and stuff. Some people want those things because they love cars, but those are just symbols of freedom. People mostly just chasing freedom because they want to just be able to do what they want whenever they want. Go out to eat at 2 PM or whatever when there's nobody else in the restaurant or whatever. Or go on a whatever little nature adventure, walk downtown or wherever in their city or some place, on a Tuesday afternoon or Tuesday morning when everybody else is going to work and fighting traffic to get to their job. When that's the beauty of working for yourself and achieving a certain level of financial, freedom, is that you're like, when you have all your time and everybody, like the rest of the world, is in their little patterns and habits of going to work and leaving at certain times, you can kind of sidestep all the lines and the traffic. So when you need to get like an oil change, or you want to go to the store, like or shopping or whatever, you can do that like when the majority of other people aren't. And so like not only is your life better because you're probably like just living a better life and maybe healthier, and you have all your time and freedoms, or you're happy hopefully for that, but like it gets even better on another level, because when you go to some of these, like oil change or whatever, just do your daily tasks, you're like, sometimes you're the only one there, so you're just in and out. Or like if you go to your favorite restaurant at 3 PM, that's like right after the lunch crowd left, so you're going to get the best service, and you're going to maybe the only one in the restaurant, which is great sometimes. If that, or if you want to go see a movie at 11 AM when everybody's at school and work, you're like, it's basically like a private screening. It's just you in the theater, which is great.
That's true. And as we start to wind down the show, so one of the things I see here on your profile is, you're an advocate of leveraging marketplaces to starting, either your SEO business or your affiliate marketing business. Talk a little bit about why marketplaces are so effective. Yeah, I know you've mentioned starting a blog and YouTube, but why leverage on the marketplace?
Yeah, I just think a great stepping stone to help people get started in the beginning is to leverage these marketplaces. Ultimately, you want to eventually have your own sort of product, whether that be physical or digital, so that you can keep as much of the profit as possible, because the downside to selling on these marketplaces, obviously they take a commission or a percentage. But the benefit is they have a massive amount of traffic. They already have traffic, users, buyers, and so you're tapping into that without having to create it yourself. So YouTube is even an example of, I guess, technically a marketplace, because they already have traffic. That's why it's such a great place to start. And, videos are very engaging and interactive and stuff. So YouTube is an example. Udemy is an example. Skillshare, those are course platforms. Podcasts, what we're doing now on iTunes. iTunes is a marketplace. For a lot of different things. You've got Amazon, and Amazon's kind of like multiple marketplaces in one. So there's people selling their physical products on Amazon, and then you've got Kindle, which is another marketplace, which is free. It's free to publish a Kindle book. So if you can't make money off of something that's free to publish, like, that's pretty bad. So I mean, it doesn't. You can write a little book and it, maybe like 20 pages and charge $2.99, sell a couple copies of that, and get your start. Get the cash flow you need to buy a website, which is like $10, and hosting a couple bucks a month. So there's so many different marketplaces. So you got Amazon, you got eBay, you got Udemy, Skillshare, YouTube. What are some of the other ones? Like some of the print-on-demand marketplaces like Zazzle, Cafe Press, Redbubble. So whatever thing you're most passionate about, there's usually a marketplace that you can tap into to get some traffic and get some buyers, and you can use that capital, the cash flow that you get for publishing on that marketplace to pour into your own thing, like your own website, your own membership site, your own physical product that you source, so that you get to keep the bulk of the profits. So that's I definitely, for if people are kind of struggling with where to start, I would definitely start with one of those many different marketplaces, because again, it just makes it really simple to get started. Rather than trying to create your own traffic source, because with SEO, you're not really creating traffic, but you're just siphoning traffic that's already there to your property. So whether it be a YouTube video or your website, you have to put in some effort to create content that's going to channel and siphon those visitors they're typing in those keywords to your own properties. But to get started, it's better to just I believe it's better to just show up on some of these marketplaces, because it kind of comes back to literally just showing up. Like my last job was selling working with e-commerce, so we sold on all these different marketplaces like Amazon, eBay, Rakuten, Newegg, Jet.com, all those. And what was cool about it is we could come out with a brand new product, and then instantly within week one, without any paid traffic, we're selling, making tens of thousands of dollars. Why? Because there's already traffic there. You're literally just showing up and getting stepping in front of a portion of that traffic. So with whether it be a physical product again, or like maybe a Kindle ebook, you have the opportunity to get in front of a portion of those like millions and millions of buyers. So yeah. Hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, perfect sense. And my last question is, looking back on your career thus far, and I know you shared a lot already. You've talked about how you got to where you are today, but For those listening to you and they're like, okay, Greg, I get it. I'm going to do it. But there's still one thing missing. And then I want you to take yourself back to, when you were still struggling trying to build this business out. Knowing what you know today, what would you advise yourself if you could go back in time to say, hey man, do this, don't do this, go here, go here. What would that one advice be to yourself if you could help yourself out?
I would definitely start attending live events sooner rather than later. So the lie I was telling myself before I started attending was I don't have the money, which was kind of a lie. Like I didn't really, but I kind of did on credit cards. So I would tell myself the lie of like, oh, I don't have, money to go to this live event that maybe cost a couple $100, and then you got to factor in the plane ticket and the hotel and food and stuff. So, maybe it comes out to $1,500 or $3,000. And I would say, tell myself the lie that I didn't have the money. Then I would go around, turn right back around and buy like 10 $97 products. So it was a lie that I was telling myself. And the reason I encourage people to get to these live events, and some of them are better than others. Maybe there's a couple of dud ones that maybe whatever, you don't meet the right people, but you're only going to learn that if you take action and start going to these. But the benefit of showing up to these events is you're going to meet other people just like you. You're going to meet some people that are on the same level, some people are just getting started, and then other people that are just crushing it. So that's your opportunity to really just corner those people, ask the questions you want to ask them, and build relationships with those people that can that you can provide value to, and that they can help you out later down the road. Because the benefit of being kind of in the game for so long is you build a lot of relationships over time. And like, I know a lot of other people that are at the top. So a lot of people in the SEO game, like I know them on a first name basis. I have their cell phones and stuff. So like we talk and we share tips and strategies and stuff. And you're only going to build those connections and make a name for yourself in your industry if you start getting out of your comfort zone and going to these live events. So I would really encourage people to do that sooner than later, rather than investing in some high ticket coaching or gambling on a digital product, hoping that it's going to teach them what they want to learn. Go to these live events and ask around and say, hey, what do you recommend? Ask the people face to face of like, what is the course you recommend? Because they're not usually going to lie to you, when you're talking to them face to face. So that can help point you in the right direction sooner than later too. And so you don't waste like the same amount of time that I did trying to kind of crossing your fingers, hoping and praying that like maybe this course is going to be the one that's going to change everything for you. Like it's probably not, you're, like you said, they're probably just going to teach you like 60% of what you really want to know. And they always leave something out. And so you can, it seems like counterintuitive to like, if you're broke, to spend the money to get to some of these live events, but I promise you it's the shortcut. Trust me, you're going to spend a lot more money spinning your wheels. Trying to figure it out. It's going to be a lot more expensive, and it's going to take a lot more time if you're going to try to figure this out on your own. So you really need to get to some of these live events like, Funnel Hacking Live, which is an excellent event. If I plug one event, I'll plug that, because the caliber of people that show up to that one is great. And again, it's just it's hard to measure the ROI while you're at the event, but I promise you, every single live event I've been to there's been a direct correlation between the amount of money I make after attending than before I came. So, it's hard to, again, just measure directly how or where the ROI came from. But I promise I always make my money back like tenfold by going to these events. So, if you're thinking, oh man, it's a lot of money, like $2,000-$3,000, like trust me, one relationship can change everything.
Cool. And I'll be sure to make a note of all that in the show notes. Greg, my friend, it's been a pleasure having you on the show, telling us more about your business, your words of wisdom, and your success. But before I let you go, tell us a little bit about where people can find you, get to know more about you, and possibly reach out to you to learn more.
Yeah, so you can find me on Facebook. Just type in my name, Greg Jeffries, or if they want to learn more about exactly what I do and what I teach others to do with SEO, you can, again, visit my website, seoaffiliatedomination.com. And if you have any questions, there'll be a place where you can reach out to me there, ask me questions about the course or any other questions you have.
Okay, and I'll be sure to make a link to that, or maybe I'll even get an affiliate link to SEO Domination.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So, Greg, thanks for coming on the show to share your words of wisdom. I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story and to teach us a little something new about building an internet business the right way. And I wish you continued success in your endeavors.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Great. Hey everyone, thanks for tuning into the show today. If you love what you hear on today's episode of the podcast, go to iTunes and leave a review and a comment. It helps other great listeners like yourself find the show. And of course, you can always find more episodes of the Bulletproof Entrepreneur Podcast at www.odogwu.com.